Hello everyone and welcome to this week's video tutorial, and this will be the first part of chapter 10 in Grandmaster Ronghua Sandwich Horse Defense Treatise. Okay, without further ado, let us see what was discussed in chapter 10. Central Cannon, and Red would develop his right chariot as a foul chariot, and the Sandwich Horse Defense. Now in chapter 10, instead of pushing p3 plus 1, whereby red would try to develop this horse and limit the black horse, red would play p7 plus 1 instead. Now, instead of targeting this horse, red would decide to target this black horse, and this would be the main topic of discussion for this chapter. And because p7 plus 1 was played, black would counter in the same manner. Now, as has been said many times earlier, the development of this black horse will be a key issue for the sandwich horse defense, and Red would have deliberately allowed black to do so. So at this point in time, there were three major variations for for red to play. The first, in board 1, c8 plus 4 was discussed, and in board 2, red would play c8 equals to 9, and in board 3, c8 plus 2 for the riverbank cannon variation was discussed. So in board 1, red would be aggressive and attack with c8 plus 4. The main idea behind this move would be to take the central pawn by force, whereby two cannons will now be attacking the black central pawn. And because of the sandwich horse defense, the pale corner cannon here would have prevented this horse from protecting the central file. So since red was intent on capturing the central pawn, it was advised for black to play a4 plus 5. Now there will be a slight something would have to be mentioned here. It would not be a good idea to play c6 close to 5, because if this were played, red would gain momentum. As can be seen at this point in time, red would have played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 moves, while black could only have countered with 1, 2, 3, 4. The black cannon would have been considered to have only made one move instead of two moves, so red would have increased his initiative. So this is why this is very important concept and to gaining tempo in Xiangqi. So that is why although sometimes the cannon is deliberately moved a few moves in the opening, it has to be compensated, or black could have to gain something in return for wasting one move. So since a4 plus 5 was played, now at this position there were two major variations that were discussed for the first board. The first of which would be 8h plus 7, whereby red would develop his left horse as a proper horse as planned. The other one would be to capture the central pawn immediately. So in the first variation, after h plus 7 was played, red would fortify his defenses or his central file with e3 plus 5, and also allow the black chariot to be developed as a kingside chariot with rn equals to 4. Now, red will continue as planned, and another question would it be a good idea to capture the pawn at this point in time? The answer would be no. Now, this was the variation that was given in the book, but if red insisted on capturing the central pawn, the pale cannon could be moved to attack the red horse and also the central cannon. So this would be a discovered attack, and instead of trading material, red could advance his horse to the riverbank. Check, check, and as can be seen, black would still have a playable game while red would have lost an advisor in the process. So capturing the central pawn would not be a good idea, especially after black had already consolidated his central file. So h7 plus 6 is advocated, but unfortunately, because black had already played a4 plus 5 and e3 plus 5, the black chariot will now become a threat. So how should red deal with this horse? Now, the recommended move was h6 plus 5. Now, it would not be a good idea to defend the horse with h2, c8 minus 2, because if this were played, the black cannon would be uh, pushed forward, so that if red tried to play c5 equals to 6, the cannon could be moved to this 9, and gray would have gained nothing in the process. So capturing the pawn as central pawn as planned will be done, and this would put black in a dilemma. So should red accept the challenge or the trade? The answer would be a resounding no, because if black chose to trade material, and over the past few moves, red would have captured the central pawn, and black's right flank was very empty and very vulnerable to attack. So this would be to red's advantage. So p7, h7 plus 6 to move the horse to the riverbank where it can be a greater threat will be encouraged. And what should red do? p5 plus 1 to try to push the pawn across the river and prevent the black horse from developing was suggested. It would not be a good idea to capture the black horse, because after the trade, this chariot would now command the central file and be a very big threat, threatening the black cannons, which would run away. And black would now be prepared to play h6 plus 4 to threaten the red chariot. And as can be seen, all of the black pieces would have much room to move, and although black had lost a central pawn, the openness of his pieces would more than make up for it. So black would have a significant advantage by now. So p5 plus 1 is advocated, and at this point in time, it would not be a good idea for red to play r2 equals to 6, because the chariot would now be needed for defense. And if r2 plus 6 was played, black would simply retreat his horse, and as can be seen, red's horse and pawn on the central file would actually be getting in the way of each other. So, and at this point, black would also be prepared to play c6 plus 3 to try to claim a central cannon of his own. So black would have an easy time ahead. So that is why c5 equals to 7 to trade horses would be ideal. But if we were to see, the horse had played 1, 2, 3, 4 moves to trade away, to trade for black's horse, which had only made 1 move. So black would seem to have gained some initiative also in the process. Trade. And at this point in time, black would have the initiative and the advantage. So it would not matter as to how red will continue, black would have the advantage. So a short recap, in chapter 10, red would push the 7th pawn forward instead of the 3rd pawn. And in the first board, c8 plus 4 was played. Now, at this point in time, black will consolidate his central file, and in the first variation, red will develop his left horse as a proper horse at this point. What would happen if c8 equals to 5 was played, which was the topic of discussion for variation 2? Okay. h3 plus 5, and red would capture the central pawn. So at this point in time, black would have two options to counter or to resolve this threat. The first would be e3 plus 5, and the second would be c6 equals to 5 for a very aggressive counter. In variation 2a, as I like to call it, red will continue to play p5 plus 1, and black would play r1 equals to 3 to develop his chariot. Now at this point, the black cannons are linked, and they would provide adequate defense for the time being on black's cannon rank. So if why did not black develop his chariot as a kingside chariot with r1 equals to 4? Now the reason is the black chariot would have left the bottom rank, and this would be vulnerable. And although the black cannons were linked, it would not be too hard to try to break this link, and red would have a significant advantage at this point in time. Pushing the pawn forward earlier would also allow for the right red horse to develop from the central file. So it would be advised for black to play r1 equals to 3, whereby he could protect the central, protect his bottom rank, and also attack as needed. And at this point in time, it would not be a good idea for black to play p3 plus 1, for if he did, the purpose of this move will now be revealed. Red was prepared to trade chariots so that he could develop his horse in the process. And at this point in time, we can see that red would have 1, 2, 3, 4 pawns. Black would have lost the most important central pawn, and was also at a disadvantage material-wise. And again, black's right flank was very vulnerable and empty, and black would have yet to move his chariot. So at this point in time, it would be safe to say that red had a slight advantage, especially in terms of the number of pawns. And so after playing r9 equals to 2, black should play c6 plus 4. And black should not capture the central cannon with the horse, because if it did, after capturing the cannon, say if the horse were moved here, there would not be any further lines of development for the black horse. Instead, red would charge the central pawn forward, and the horse at this point would be in deep trouble. So that was why black would capture the red's horse, and by this time it would be red would gain back lost material and enter the next phase with more pawns. But the situation will still be relatively equal at this point in time. So for very short recap, c8 plus 4, and in the second variation, red will capture the central pawn. Immediately, sorry. Now in variation 2b, instead of defending passively with e3 plus 5, black will counter aggressively with c6 equals to 5 to resolve the check, and also initiate a discovered attack on the red central cannon. Now, would it be a good idea to play h8 plus 7 to develop the left flank at this point in time? And as can be seen, the black chariot, which had not moved earlier, would actually now command a very important intersection on the riverbank. And black would still be able to hold his own against red's aggression. So that is why developing the left horse would not be a good idea. So if R2 plus 6 were played, and as can be seen, black would be prepared to trade away the red cannon, or simply capture the red cannon immediately if red did not move any advisor or any elephant to the central file. So at this point in time, black will still have many options to choose from. So black will have a very playable game. So this would be variation 2b in the book. So a short recap. This would be the position. This would be the position of discussion for board 1, and there were two variations after black would play a6 plus 5. Sorry, a4 plus 5. The first would be h8 plus 7, and the other would be c8 equals to 5 to capture the central pawn. Now, because red was delivering a check, and there were two sub-variations. Variation 2a would be e3 equals plus 5, and variation 2b would be c6 equals to 5. So I hope you have enjoyed this short video tutorial on opening theory, and Grandmaster Ronghua book is coming to an end. There will be still about 7 boards to be done. So I hope that you like the work that I've been doing, and if there are any constructive comments, please tell me. You can email me at the website, or simply leave a comment on the YouTube page or the Facebook page that I also post the videos. Thank you and have a nice day. If you like my work, please give me a like.